This is my son, Owen. There's literally nothing I wouldn't do for him.
I'm driving.
I spend a great amount of time and energy giving him the experiences that I hope will shape his character and strengthen the trust and bond between us. You can do it. Just speed on and hold your brakes. Watching him summon the courage to ride down that steep single track for the first time, or swing at a pitch after getting hit in the face by one.
There you go, yeah!
Or lean back into the void and trust that a rope and his dad will hold him can be both terrifying and at the same time intensely rewarding. It's one of the best parts of being a dad. And so I can relate to Floyd Hayes and his son, Brett. A few years back, I found myself in Yosemite Valley, arguably the epicenter of the climbing universe, joining them for the very grown-up experience of climbing Lost Arrow Spire. Perched precariously atop the wall to the right of Yosemite Falls, this climb is beyond the skills of many experienced adult climbers. And here's Brett, willingly following his dad into the void. As father-son experiences go, it doesn't get more character shaping. This is Beyond Adventure.
The only reason I really wanted to do this climb was because Brett, he wanted to do it.
It's a really high exposed climb that's kind of like a good postcard picture. It'll make a great memory, I think. And I want to look back on this in the future.
There's a book called 50 Classic Climbs in North America, and this is considered one of the 50 classic climbs. And it'll be fun because I did the climb 26 years ago, and I'm looking forward to reminiscing the climb. Most of the climbing we do, we're usually within 100 feet of the ground, I mean, most of the time. But these longer climbs, you know, you start at the bottom and you gradually work your way up, and by the time you get up 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet on a really long free climb, you get accustomed to that exposure gradually. This particular climb, we're going to start at the top.
Oh, wow. Once we came across the spire, it was just kind of sent a shiver through me. Wow.
That's pretty spectacular, isn't it? The exposure is going to be enormous, and it's going to be scary. So we're going to have to try to ignore that exposure right off the bat. Okay, Brett, why don't you start pulling stuff out? I got 2 small backpacks for us. What we're going to do here is called a bow line. The rabbit comes up out of the hole, rabbit goes around the tree, rabbit goes back down the hole again. Make sense? The whole outdoor thing just really appeals to me. It makes life more interesting and exciting and adventurous and fun. It makes me happy. It's what I enjoy doing in life. The first rappel was pretty easy. The second rappel, it was really, really steep. Brett went down first. The hard part about it was I had to pass the knot. I had to hang on in order to move my belay device from above the knot to below the knot. That was not easy. I don't care to ever do that again.
I think a lot of people think that climbers are kind of crazy because it's really a scary thing to be up there on a rock. It's really not what most people would want to do. But once you really look at how safe you can make it, and there's really nothing that can go wrong if you just take your time and make sure everything is just secure.
The only way we're really going to get hurt is if we make a major mental error, especially with my son who has less experience than I do.
My dad keeps everything safe, and I just always feel pretty safe climbing with him.
All right. Now, the climb can actually be free climbed, but aid climbing is definitely easier, definitely safer. The way I climb basically is I place in a cam, or there's solid bolts that previous climbers have drilled into the rock. Then I clip my aider, which is also called an atria, and it's got these little loops in it where I can place my feet and climb it. And once I shift my weight onto it, then I could reach down below and pull out the other aider that's clipped in, and I attach that to my harness. And I reach up and look for the next placement. I reached a little ledge, and that little ledge had a big crack above it, and the crack was very challenging to climb. And once I got about halfway up the crack, then things started getting a little easier. And then I made it to the ledge, Salathe Ledge it's called.
Daddy, you there?
I could look down and enjoy the scenery while I was belaying Brett climbing up it.
I think of my dad a lot as just a climbing buddy, and he's very trustworthy. He's always been trustworthy, and I know, just like with climbing, I can trust on him. He's not gonna lie to me, set me down the wrong path.
All right, dude. You're a real egg climber now. I come here to Yosemite, do a lot of my climbing here. This is my favorite place to go climbing. This time around, I have my son with me, which is rather special.
All right, first piece clipped in.
When Brett was younger, we used to take him camping a lot with us, and he learned to swim very young. He got into catching snakes for several years and into watching birds with me.
I like the outdoors a lot. I think that the beauty of nature is what appeals to me the most.
When we moved back to California 6 years ago, he began rock climbing with me. First, it scared him a lot, but then he began liking it more and more. We've always had a lot of good memories together outdoors and spending time having these adventures together. So I'm at this final crack just before I reach the summit. There's a bolt that's way up there, and it's very difficult to reach. I try a couple of times. I have to step up behind the aiders, and I have to hold on to the carabiner. So finally the idea comes to my mind that I have a nut tool, a tool that is used to help pull nuts and cams out of the crack. And it's about 8 inches long, and so it gives me an extra 8 inches. It's got a hook at the end. So I'm able to reach up there with this nut tool and snag the bolt. and place my aider on it, and I'm able to make it. All I have left is about 20 feet of low angle, easy free climbing.
Off the way, I'm at the summit! Yahoo! There it is. Woo!
When I reach the summit, I am feeling victorious. It was really fun climbing the second half of that pitch.
Brett, are you about ready to climb?
I went up after my dad, and I would clean up all the pieces he left behind. I had to go up on another rope, ascending, using the Jumars, while he belayed me, so it was kind of a slow process, but everything worked well going up.
I'm glad you made it up. Good job. Feeling good about yourself?
Sitting up on the spire feels like you're isolated from the rest of the world, but kind of looking down on it. It's kind of cool feeling like that because you're going through kind of a mind-opening experience being up there.
The hardest and scariest part is going to begin now as we do the traverse across back to the rim.
The Tyrolean traverse, the whole time it was in the back of my head while we were doing the climb. I kind of wish it was something we did at the beginning just to get it over with because it's always there haunting me.
Okay, Brett, this is the way it's going to work. We're going to thread the rope through right here.
I was feeling pretty dizzy at the top of the climb. I felt kind of sick and cold, and I thought I had a fever and chills. I was trying to pay attention to everything he was saying, but I would get confused a lot.
Tie it into the tree and get it fairly tight. So you're going to lower down, okay? You're going to use the red rope to rappel down. You're going to rappel
On a double.
Yeah, go down.
I knew that he was not feeling very well. He'd been a bit ill during the last week, and I knew he must be very, very tired. So I was worried that he might make a mental mistake and do the wrong thing, and so I was worried and concerned about him.
Rappel down the red rope. When you reach the bottom, you're going to let go of the rappel rope. You're going to pull it through your system, and we're going to pull it through in the brown.
After a while, I think I got it down, and I was pretty optimistic that it wouldn't be too hard.
Make sense?
Yeah, I think I got it.
Not everybody does the Tyrolean traverse. It's a little bit complicated to set up. It's simpler just to rappel down, but it's certainly more spectacular. It's a more fun way to get off the rock. It's always a little heart-stopping when you first lower off a very steep rock. When you're hanging in the chasm, it's basically surreal. It's like, what am I doing here? In the middle of the air, way above Yosemite Valley, I'm just hanging here. It's pretty wild. One of those things that I'd heard about people doing and seen photographs of, and finally, at 47 years old, I'm there. I'm doing it. Going across it was just very, very strenuous.
All right.
It was a relief to reach the wall because I knew the hard part was over with. Then it was a relief to make it to the top of the tree because I knew I was going to live to see another day. Unfortunately, it was a bit late by the time Brett got started, and it's always a little bit stressful during the day, especially when it starts getting late at night. It took him a while to get things organized. He had no problem going across on the traverse to get to the canyon, but then he had a lot of major issues, and standing up there at the top, I just did not know what was going on. It was getting dark and I couldn't really see much, and I heard him yelling.
Apparently there's a problem with the rope. One of the ropes being stuck, the red rope that he rappelled down.
And I knew he must be very, very tired, so I was worried that he might make a mental mistake and do the wrong thing.
And once I got to the wall, it was just, I would get confused looking down at my harness and seeing all kinds of things clipped into me, and everything got tangled, things were just going wrong. I just wanted to be safe and secure.
Well, right now Brett is pretty tired. I think he's enjoyed the climb, but he's concerned that he has a fever. He hasn't been well really the last week, so he's had a bit of a cold. So I think he's just really tired, overexerted himself, much like I have. And so I'm sure he's really looking forward to getting up here at the top.
I was trying to change my stuff around so I could go faster, but it was the slowest process. It was really frustrating.
Oh man, a bit of a nightmare, huh?
Yeah, you have no idea. Finishing was just, it was a really great feeling. The whole experience was very worth it.
We did it. I'll always have that memory with me as long as I live.